Episode 6, Beyond the Cypher With Illskillz. Today we have from Supreme Beings, my man Jiggz in the house. Jiggz, how you doing, brother?
I'm chilling, man. How you been?
I'm good, man. I haven't seen you in like a decade when you guys came out here for the NBL as the New York State champs, man. How's life been treating you?
Life's been good, hanging in there. We still here. We still kicking. So can't complain. We still got opportunities to make things happen, make things better.
No doubt, man. I want to talk about all those, but as usual, I just like to start, where it starts. So, for me, that would be like, how did you get introduced into breaking? Like, what was your first time where you came into contact with the dance?
Um, I've always been into hip hop, so I got a glimpse here and there growing up since like the early days of like MTV and things like that. And growing up in the 80s is kind of like around you, but I didn't really come into like really close contact until like the mid 90s. You know what I'm saying? When it was really through like just a couple of friends and doing it at home, then doing it like in the sidewalk, and from there it just took off, met other people and just continued to do it. So yeah, like I said, just growing up with it basically, and then like I really like met some people who knew like foundation and history and started putting us on.
Right.
Yeah, we could talk about a couple of those heads too, if you
Yeah,
want.
because I would love to talk about a couple of, like, who were those heads?
Well, my immediate circle that was like curious about it was like my boy Elastic Fantastic, my boy Josh, and my boy Manny, right? So we grew up in Queens, and it's called Corona, but like right nearby in that same neighborhood is Left Rack City. So a couple of my friends was from there, and we would just like hang out and just eventually started trying things. And one of my friends knew this kid from the neighborhood that had moved over to the Bronx. So he took me out there. We went to like a community center, and they had a practice spot. And there was this crew out there, Ready to Rock. Everybody knows. They're well known out here. But they have their own practice spot. And that's where I first went, and I seen like real b-boying and shit like that. And then, they taught us a couple basics. My boy Gio and his brother Henry, those were the guys from my neighborhood that had moved over to the Bronx. And they had put us onto some stuff. And then we came back home and, just got stuck on it and just doing it in the crib or outside any chance that we got. Then we got our hands on a couple cassettes, like movies. Like we went to the video store, got B Street, shit like that. Never gave them back. Just kept watching them over and over, trying to take whatever moves we can. And it's funny because, when we was first doing it, my boy Elvis had put me on, and then me and Joshua took to it, and we started messing around in the apartment. And his cousin Manny, he was like, "What y'all doing?" It was like, "Yo, we're doing this breaking thing." And he was like, "Oh, I know some shit." And he started throwing down, and he's doing like swipes, and he did like a little kick backspin and shit. I'm like, we're like, "Yo, how the fuck you know this shit?" And he's like, "Oh, my cousin is a freestyle dancer. He used to like dance on stage with like freestyle singers and shit. And he had
Right.
taught me some moves." And I was like, "Damn, bro, you was holding out this whole time." But it's cool because then him getting into it, he picked up real fast. So it was good because he was like always a good dancer naturally. And so we had our own little circle to practice together in each other's houses and stuff. And like that summer of '96, it was just like, it was more like towards the end, I think. And into '97, it was just like every week we were just trying to like practice or something. And then later on, we met like some pioneers and some OGs and some other kids from different boroughs that also were breaking. And then that's when we was like, "Yo, this is a thing." And we was like, stuck. And it was just like, we started traveling, and then it became like little journeys and quests, going to other people's little spots and meeting new people. And then you know, next thing you know, we're going to like the teen nights where they're, you know, it's like, say like a Friday night, like at a club, it'll be like from 10 to 1 or something like that. They'll let like teenagers go. You can't drink or nothing, but they'll play music and you dance, and sometimes little ciphers would break out. And we started going to things like that. And the one of the biggest, most famous ones was the Skate Key in the Bronx. And then later on, we started finding out that they were holding events there, and we started going to battles. And I mean, shit, the rest is history. So like mid 90s is when, like, you know, for me, it was like really got into it, into the culture and all that. I was already into MCing and graffiti big time. My brother was a big hip hop head growing up, but like as far as breaking, then, you know, it was another level. And then, you know, of course, like with that underground hip hop scene, started learning more about DJing and shit like that, like more like all the elements. But in the late 90s, that's how the events was. They weren't separated. If you go to a B-boy event, you're gonna see some dope DJs killing it. You're gonna see dudes ripping black books, and you're gonna see MC ciphers in the corner. That's just how the jams were, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it was a real exciting time for us, you know, to find that next element for us to kind of try to shine, you know,
Right.
through the dance, you know, because before it was like you try to look fly, or, you know, you're known in the streets for writing, or you could rap, you know. But then finding breaking was like, oh, here's something else that not everybody's up on, you know. And of course, you're trying to get busy and get props in school and impress the girls and stuff. So it was a good time for my teenage years. It was perfect time for me to find that word.
That's a beautiful story, man. That's why I like talking to people like in my age group, like you, or even older, is because our introduction to breaking is so different than a kid today's introduction to breaking. It's funny how you said you was watching, like you messed around with it at first, but just like on some kid stuff. But then when you start getting serious, you went to the Beach Street. You went to the and my story is very similar. I remember being a little kid, just doing knee spins in the kitchen, not even knowing, you just saw it somewhere. You don't even know where you saw it, and it was just like a fun thing to do. And then when I started taking, like, wanting to get more serious into it, I did the same thing, watching Beat Street, stealing off of what was his name, Lil Lee or whatever. I was stealing all his stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like the little popping move when they was in the party. That was my first joint that I stole. I was like, yep, that's me right there. You know what I'm saying? And then progressing into, like, you had to find somebody that was really into it. You had to find a person. You know what I'm saying? I never found the person. I've told this story before. What I did was, I went on the internet. Because I started after you, so I come in like 99, right? I went on the internet. You remember the internet in 99 is not the internet of 2020. You know what I'm saying? So I found like how to do the 6-step, and it was in words. So I printed the paper out. I went to the gym. I put the paper down. And it's like it said, get in a push-up position. I did that, and I just read through it and just did all the steps, as you know what I'm saying, like following the directions. You know what I'm saying? So that's a dope story. So when do we get from Jiggz watching Beat Street to Jiggz meeting the real B-boys and finding out that he's in that circle to Jiggz being Supreme Beings? Like, how does that go?
Well, you know, that stuff happened real quick. You know, in the beginning, it was like, you know, seen it, then, you know, you try to learn as much about it as you can, try to soak all that up. And, you know, at the same time, we was meeting B-boys. Like I said, the first practice spot I went to was Ready to Rock's spot. So I saw B-boy Smirk, which was like, he's like, I think that was his crew, and it was his spot. So seeing dudes like that, and, you know, he was down with Rocksteady. And dude was nice with the power, the footwork, all that. So I had, like, from the beginning, I was already seeing like real B-boys. And then his crew, it was a bunch of dudes that was already nice too. I don't remember all their names, but I remember Wiz, A-Tone. I think there was a guy, Cleve. Might have been his crew. I don't remember exactly whose crew it was. But it's like I think they were like an 80s crew, and they like carried on the legacy. I'm not too sure about their history, but like I said, I was already seeing like good B-boys that knew like foundation. And I had heard that like Ken Swift had gone over there to teach and stuff like that, and that they had done a couple of events. Like we had just missed it. And then like I think that same winter kept going back. But the thing is that I wanted to learn how to pop. You see, for me, I thought breaking was like, I'm dead serious. When I was young, I would just like look at Michael Jackson and watch him glide and things like that. So I thought that was breaking, like boogie, you know, like electric boogie. Like that's what they used to say out here. Like, oh, you doing the electric boogie? Like if you in a party dancing, like, you know, like late 80s, early 90s, people wasn't really busting like footwork windmills when they were dancing. You know, they were probably doing like some up tops and stuff, and later evolved to like what people would call New Jack Swing, you know, that kind of stuff. We were doing like a lot of Running Man, like Kid and Play type of shit, trying to mimic that. So, you know, I didn't know that breaking was like that hardcore. And we pulled up to the practice and Rocksteady Crew was there. And it's Mr. Wiggles, and at the time, Mauricio was down with them, and Smirk was there, and a couple other heads. I think Honey Rockwell and Wiggles' wife. So I'm mind blown because I'm like, oh shit, that's Mr. Wiggles, and I'm watching him pop, and that's what I wanted to learn, but I had no idea where to start, like no foundation. So I felt it was too difficult. And then I'm seeing Mauricio doing crazy shit, like breaking. This is like one of my first practices, and I'm seeing this wild shit, and I'm bugging. And then I see Mr. Wiggles throw down, and then I see him breaking. I see him do like some footwork, and then I was like, oh shit, I think I could do that, you know, because I was into sports, so I felt like I could like try to throw myself, but you know, all this technique and stuff, like I had no idea where to get started or what looked good or what was what. So, you know, I just felt like I was like, you see when you throw a baby in the circle and they start just doing things, like I just felt like I'm doing nonsense. So, but when I saw the breaking, I was like, yo, I think I could mess with that. And then from there on, it's just like I got, you know, I got like the fever to stay on the floor and try things on the floor. So I took to that, and it took me a while to kind of get like good with the footwork and all that. I kind of didn't understand which direction was the right direction to go. I just went with what felt comfortable. But yeah, like we didn't like form the crew till like later when I went, and in high school we had like a dance club, and then later on we started traveling. So our crew didn't really form till like about 99, a couple years later, after I met a whole bunch of other people from like a different neighborhood in Queens through school and like through hanging out in the parks and shit like that, and seeing other people who were getting into breaking at the same exact time. So, you know, our crew didn't form till way later. Then like around 2000, we was already like out here. We was pretty like known and shit.
For more quality content from Beyond the Cypher with Illskillz, don't forget to press the like and subscribe buttons. Let us know how we're doing down in the comment section, and to make sure that you don't miss anything from the channel, smash that notification bell. We appreciate the love and support. Peace until the next episode.